God bless each and every one of you, and I am so glad and so happy to see each of you. We're going to start off, of course, with a word of prayer from a wonderful, wonderful person. So if you would uncover and recognize Dan Scruggs. Dan?
Our gracious Heavenly Father, we come to you today and we want to thank you for this beautiful day that you've given us. And Lord, that you brought us together here. We're here to remember not only those that never made it home and those that are not here and memorialize them, Lord. But Lord, we also ask you to touch each and every one of us, Lord, that through this service in some way, somehow, Lord, through your power, that we will be touched. There will be healing, whether it's physical, mental, spiritual, whatever the need may be in each and every one of us, Lord. We ask you to have your way in our life, Lord, and guide us and direct us. In the name of Christ I pray. Amen.
At this time, we will have the posting of the colors by the McMinn County Honor Guard. Gentlemen, post the colors. All rise, please, if you're able. And at this time, we will have the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Retire colors. Okay, please be seated. At this time, Tina Morgan will do a POW MIA presentation. Tina?
Thank you. I'd like to draw your attention to the table to your left. The table that stands before you is a place of honor. In setting this table, we acknowledge those missing from our gathering today, and we remember them. The table is round, showing our everlasting concern for our missing men. The table is small and set for one, symbolizing the vulnerability of a lone prisoner against his captors. The tablecloth is white, symbolizing purity of intention in responding to their nation's call of duty. The glass is inverted to symbolize their inability to share in today's toast. The black napkin stands for the emptiness these warriors have left in the hearts of their friends and family. A slice of lemon on the bread plate is to remind us of the bitter fate of those captured and missing in a foreign land. A pinch of salt symbolizes the tears endured by those missing and their families who seek answers. The single red rose, displayed in a vase, reminds us of the life of each of the missing and the loved ones and friends of these Americans who keep the faith, awaiting answers. The vase is tied with a yellow ribbon, a symbol of our continued determination to account for our missing and bring them home. A candle represents the everlasting hope of a reunion with these who are missing. The Bible represents the strength gained through faith to sustain those lost from our country, founded as one nation under God. The chair is empty, for they are missing. To all of those KIAs, POWs, and MIAs, you will never be forgotten. To all of the rest of you, thank you for your service and welcome home.
We will now have 1 moment of silence for POWs, MIA. Amen. Do I recognize the branches? At this time, we're going to recognize the branches. There's one thing to remember. It matters not. Army, Navy, Marine Corps, Air Force, Coast Guard, National Guard. We're all brothers and sisters. If you are a member of the United States Army, please stand if you can and wave if you can. Thank you.
We got music. We got music.
You got what?
We got music.
Oh, I'm sorry. Wow, I thought she said I had to sing.
They're in a different order. You want me to start at the beginning? Yeah, start at the beginning. Everybody sit down. We're doing calisthenics.
Just pretend you're in church.
That's Air Force. Air Force. Air Force.
Air Force. Nobody? Yes! Yes! Marine Corps. And thank each of you for being here, and thank each of you for your service. A program that began in this century is called the Quilts of Valor. In McMinn County, we're fortunate to have a woman like Beth Sizemore, who basically is the chairperson for the Quilts of Valor. And I think that, oh gosh, it says so much. Beth, come on up here.
It's our honor to be here today. So many times, all of our other ladies are not recognized, but this would not be possible if we're not for a multitude of ladies and gentlemen who help us out in all kinds of ways. I've been trying to convince some military people to join us, particularly some of you men, and I'm going to try to inspire you by telling you about Al Lynn, who at the age of 84 received his Quilt of Valor, and he was in World War II. Before he died, he had finished 240 tops to be made into Quilts of Valor, and I think until last year they were still quilting some of his quilts. So this is not just a ladies' organization by any shape, form, or fashion. So if you want to learn how to use a sewing machine, we'll be more than happy to help you, and you can just churn out tops as fast as you can churn them, because we now have about 90 people on our list who are waiting for Quilts of Valor. And in McMinn County, that means people who have either been in combat or people who have been deployed to help those who have been in combat. So for us, if you were the company cook, if you were on the front lines, if you were in Saudi Arabia somewhere filling out paperwork, you're eligible for a Quilt of Valor. So, I'd like for you to know that. Also, I'd like for you to know that Susan is one of our best giver of names. I was trying to think how to call you, Susan, but she and Jackie are constantly adding to our list, and for some reason you think your name is not on our list, and you don't know how to get it to us, go to the Veteran Services Office, and they will be happy to make sure that we get your name. Quilts of Valor nationally started in 2003, and since that time, as of November, we had given out our 200,000th quilt nationally, and since then we have given out 214,500 quilts. So in the last 3 months, over 14,000 quilts have been donated. Each of these quilts are handcrafted, and we really believe they bring healing and comfort. It was my privilege a number of years ago, mine and my husband's privilege a number of years ago, to be at the wall with a Vietnam veteran and his wife who had received his Quilt of Valor several years earlier. And he explained to us how he still dealt with war demons, and he was very vivid about that. And one of the things that just stood out to me was he constantly talked about how important his quilt was to him. We had one Iraq veteran here in McMinn County, actually he was in Polk County, who received a quilt. We had to work it so that he got his quilt before they had fireworks in Etowah, because fireworks caused him to have real terrors. So we gave him his quilt. They hustled him off the stage, and I didn't talk to him for some time until a little bit later. And he said, I've got to explain something to you. He said, when you gave me the Quilt of Valor, I was still having nightmares every night. He said, I went home, I covered up with my quilt, and I did not have a nightmare that night. And he says, I have not had a nightmare since. Now, we have no way to measure the healing these quilts have or have the comfort that they give, but we really do believe they're such an important part to what we do. And you guys are the reason we do it. Because of the way you treated, we don't want any other veterans to ever be treated that way. We want them to know how much we love them and how much we appreciate them. And we want you to know how much we love you and how much we appreciate you. And so today we're going to be presenting 5 quilts. And the first one is going to be to Mr. Ronald Ford. So Mr. Ford, if you will come forward. Part of what we do is we also give a certificate with this quilt, and it says the Quilts of Valor Foundation wishes to recognize you for your service to our nation. We consider it a privilege to honor you. Though we may never know the extent of your sacrifice and service to protect and defend the United States of America, as an expression of our gratitude, we award you this Quilt of Valor. And I'm going to ask each of these gentlemen, if they would, to go to the back table. We're going to put your name on your quilt, and we need to get a picture while you're back there. So if you'll go back to the back, we'll have the next person come. Our next honoree is Mr. Fred Dukes. And Fred was in helicopter mechanics. I didn't tell you too much about Mr. Ford, but he was a welder. He came home and started working for Bowater, and he's been a carpenter for 30 years. And when I asked him what he liked to do, guess what? It's mechanics and carpentry. So. We like to give these quilt hugs, and we've almost got a competition on who's going to give a kiss, so. Our next recipient is Bob Louie, and he was in the Army in Vietnam. He was in the infantry, and he came home and became a telephone company lineman. And I asked him what his hobbies were, and he says he likes to hunt. I said, I have a feeling we got a lot of those around here. By the way, I have to tell you, Mr. Louie, this one was made by my husband and myself. Our next one's a little bit special because it's a little bit different. I had a young lady get in touch with me from up in the Fort Campbell area in Clarksville, and she said, my uncle is in your area, and I'd like to work out something so I can make a quilt for him. So Lorraine is here, and she has brought a quilt for her uncle, James Meharry. He was the only one I could get to tell me about his medals. Everybody else said, oh, I just got medals. I just got standard medals. But Mr. Meharry did get a Purple Heart and a Bronze Star and an Air Medal. He's worked for Textron for a number of years, and he likes to hunt and fish too. Mr. Mahay, I know your name's on yours, but if you go back to the back to get your picture with the others, we'd appreciate it. And then Mr. Claude Parsons. Mr. Parsons was in the Army, and he was an RCO radioman and senior radio repair. And he said the thing that he was most proud of was he got a letter of accommodation from the 1st Cavalry Division. He went on to work for the railroad, and I understand he has a railroad memorabilia collection that is to be envied. Thank you so much.
It's always a movie, isn't it? If you go to our Veterans Affairs office downtown, that woman is amazing. That woman is amazing. They represent us well. They keep us informed, and they keep each of you informed. Well, we've got the pleasure of having Jacqueline Glassford now share a poem. And so I'm going to ask Jacqueline if you will come forward.
You're amazing.
I was really nervous this morning because my daddy passed away in June, and everybody knows I brag about my dad all the time, but thank God for Dick and his humor this morning. So I wrote this poem for you all because you're kind of like my dad, and I appreciate you. So hopefully I can get through this. Okay. In loving memory of my precious best friend, Jack Glassford.
You want me to do it?
No, I'm gonna do it. United States Marine Corps, Vietnam, 1966. He was a radio man. It's called Brothers, and it's for you all. No brother or stranger, you all shared the danger. You all took the oath. You all shared the fear. Brothers in arms, so young, indestructible. Brothers you still are, all sitting here. You all toughed it out. You all made it home. Please don't feel the guilt. God wanted you here. Teach your grandchildren to stand for the flag, what it means and why you hold it so dear. Take care of yourself and all of your L's. Don't ever give up, because one thing is clear. Look all around you. You are not alone. Your brothers surround you. Reach out your hand. Be there for each other. Keep being a brother. You all know the things only brothers understand. And I learned that from you all.
He's looking down, very proud of you.
I know it. He's probably crying.
I know I was. Next, we have some remarks from Senator Blackburn's office, and we have Kelly Puckett. Kelly Puckett's going to share from Senator Blackburn's office. Kelly.
Thank you. It's an honor to be here today. Thank you so much. That's a very hard act to follow, so that was beautiful.
I want to thank all of you. Again, it's an honor for us to be here. I want to thank Susan for inviting us. Unfortunately, Senator Blackburn couldn't be here, but I wanted to share some words from her. Thank you for your great courage and service to our country during the Vietnam War. Your sacrifices and service represent the absolute best that our country has to offer. Every time I meet with veterans, I'm humbled by their selflessness, their courage, and their dedication to our country. We are privileged to live in the greatest country in this nation and in this world, and that is made possible by the brave men and women such as you. As your United States Senator, I will work hard to give our veterans the absolute best support, the support that all of you have earned. Words cannot express the appreciation that I have for your service. Sincerely, Marsha Blackburn. And I will say to you, Senator Blackburn has a true heart for veterans. As you know, she serves on the Committee for Veterans Affairs, and she also serves on the Committee for Senate Armed Services. And those two committees were at her request because her heart is with veterans. And I'm just so honored to be here to represent her. Thank each and every one of you for all that you do for our country and for our freedom and for fighting for us. Thank you.
Our next speaker is a 23rd District representative to the state of Tennessee, newly elected, and it's an honor to introduce Mr. Mark Cochran. Mark?
Well, thank you very much, and as always, and as I always promise Susan, I will be very, very brief. You know, we live, no question in the world, that we live in the greatest nation on planet Earth. There's a lot of facts, a lot of statistics that you could quote to prove that fact. But I think none more so than United States Senator Fred Thompson. He used to often say, no other nation in the history of nations has sent more of its own sons and daughters to die for others' freedom than the United States of America. That fact alone shows what a truly unique and wonderful place this is. Because of people like you, because of the American veteran, fascism, Nazism, communism were all defeated. They were all defeated on foreign shores before they made it here because you went there and you answered the call. You took up the fight to defeat that evil. And I think that's also what makes the American veteran so unique. In other times in history, when a soldier fights for a nation, you know, it might be for some type of expansion or gain of land. The American veteran, you are on the front lines of good versus evil. You are the good guys. Everybody always dreams of being the good guy. You are, and you have been. And again, just the extreme sacrifice that you have made, we can't thank you enough. Specifically, Vietnam veterans, what you did to help heap the evil of communism upon the ash heap of history. Again, I cannot thank you enough. That was a decades-long effort, but what you did helped us win that. And again, anything that my office can ever do to help you, we owe you more than we could ever give back. And so my debt of gratitude is to you. And again, it is my honor to be in your presence here today. I look forward to visiting with you afterwards. And most of all, thank you for your service.
We've got some patriotic music, but it's not me singing, so I know you're excited about that. But I'm excited about hearing Sarah sing. Aren't you?
Yes.
Sarah Kelly.
You all can feel free to sing with me, you know the words.
What?
Oh, no, I'm loud enough, don't worry about it.
It is Sarah Kelly. But today we have the honor and privilege of hearing James Boyd, a United States Marine. Let's, Semper Fi, okay. And what's the other one? Hoorah! Anyway, please give James a great big Marine welcome.
I'm not a public speaker. I don't want to get that over with now. My name is James Boyd. Everybody calls me Jim. So I'd appreciate it if any of y'all do. I want to thank Susan, and Jacqueline, and Dr. Hubbard. They've just been great. I was born in Morgan County, Tennessee, a little town called Sunbright, and I was born up on the side of the mountain. And when I was 4, we moved to Kentucky. So you'll have to forgive me, but I was educated in Kentucky. I was raised by a woman that was born in Oliver Springs, Tennessee, and raised in a little logging camp outside of Wartburg. So needless to say, when I got old enough, I knew what I was supposed to do. She, between serving your country and being a Vols fan, there wasn't nowhere else to go. I joined the Marine Corps on Friday the 13th of May, 1966, and I left for boot camp that day. I left Vietnam on Friday the 13th of February, 1970. When the plane come over that was gonna land and pick us up, they had a fire in the hole back at the ammo dump, and that plane's flaps went up, and she went right back out over the South China Sea. And you've never heard such a, oh my God, out of one bullpen in your life. We were standing there at Freedom Hill in Da Nang. It made a circle, and they got the word on what it was, and they'd come back, and thank God picked us up and brought us home. So I want to thank not only my fellow Marines, Air Force, Navy, and the Army. At one time or another, I owe them a lot, especially the Air Force, Jolly Green Giants. I've looked up and seen them coming in for me more than once. They were the rescue helicopters, and it's hard to beat. I was a crew chief and door gunner on a helicopter Huey gunship while I was in Vietnam. Prior to that, I spent 2 years of presidential helicopters in Washington, D.C. I got to fly those green ones with the white tops, the real pretty ones. Believe me, fellows, after a while, you get tired of waxing airplanes. I met a lot of people. I was fortunate, met a lot of people, and saw a heck of a lot of the country east of the Mississippi River. And it didn't get much prettier country than that. While I was in Vietnam, it was a beautiful country. It really was a beautiful country. I've been asked what I remember most about it. So many colors of green. Even here, we're hard pressed to have the colors of green that they had there. I'll never forget one tree just southeast Quezon that was almost like a palmetto tree, and in the very heart of it was a magenta color. I was in the air, so I could see that part. Also, want to thank. I want to say this: if any of the guys that are here are like me, and have at times had to face survivor's guilt, and I see a few heads shaking here and there, we wonder why we were the ones that came back. Why didn't our buddies? But those years were the best years of my life. They were something that I was raised to do, that I felt like I owed it to this country to do. And I appreciate it, and I thank every day that I was able to make it back here to East Tennessee. Because there's no place in the world like it. And the people at the Vet Center and at the Veterans Affairs, you'll find no one that treats you as good as they do. And I've tried different ones all over this country. We're very blessed. And I feel blessed that you all allowed me to stand up here. Thank you very much.
You know, James, it's interesting, you got out on May 13th, 1966. I mean, enlisted in 1966. I got discharged on May the 21st, 1966, 1 week after you joined. They couldn't have both of us. I did. They sent me back to East Tennessee to take care of them, you know. Anyway, I just found that interesting. Next, we have a woman that basically every year comes up and shares with us because she does such wonderful work in Chattanooga, and she comes up and lets us know that she's available, and that is Dr. Yvonne Hummer. Dr. Hummer.
I'm always blessed when I come to Athens. Somehow or another, you guys are my favorite. I don't know how that happened, but I do love you guys. And the Athens group is far more cohesive than I've seen in other counties and stuff. So you guys are marvelous, and I very much enjoy coming here. And two of your guys here today, this is one of my guys here, as well as is the other Jim that got the quilt, yes, I'm choking now. I'm glad to be a part of this Vietnam Veterans Day event to recognize your honorable service during a very, very difficult time in history. Some of you served as ground troops in combat zones, others in a MASH unit, treating the wounded, transporting soldiers to be laid to rest, to go to home. Many of you had multiple tours, lost cherished comrades, sustained significant medical problems, service-connected disabilities, and post-traumatic stress disorder. Regardless of where and how you served well. You served your country very well. A lot of you I know go to bed at night and have nightmares of trauma that haunt you. One of my vets talks about jumping out of bed to wash the leeches off in the middle of the night. A lot of times family members can't understand, but then as you talk to them, you do know that the family members get an idea. Wives will get an idea of what's going on. And women, the wives have secondary post-traumatic stress disorder. Many of you came home quickly or quietly in the night with no fanfare. You were considered as baby killers when all you wanted to do was heal from overwhelmed trauma. Many of you searched for solace, drugs or alcohol or relationships that were not healthy, and isolation. Families couldn't understand the dramatic changes, but eventually families developed secondary post-traumatic stress disorder. Now I look back over the years and we see the trauma you carried and the commitment to your family and country, your struggles to heal, your pride in having served your country well. We offer our thanks today for your service, and we welcome you with open arms, our Vietnam veterans, our heroes. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Hubbard. Before I introduce our next speaker, there's a young lady sitting back here. Miss Karidian, would you be so kind as to stand? Ladies and gentlemen, this is Bethany Karidian, and she is going to start at West Point this fall. What a She represents the future. And ladies and gentlemen, what? I get emotional. My wife says that I can't watch a Hallmark commercial without crying. And she says I'm a wuss, but I don't know. Anyway, Bethany, we wish you well. God bless you. And she's mad at me now, I know. Our next speaker, no introduction, can really describe the work that this woman puts in. No. I was fortunate to have been on the selection committee when we were looking for a replacement for her. And after she did her interview, I'll never forget it, I said, that's who we need, her. And guess what? She's borne that out. It's been what, 5 years now, Susan? 4 years? 4 years, and she has really done a phenomenal job with our Veterans Affairs Office. Okay, and I'm so excited, pleased to have the opportunity to work with her in many ways. And here she is, Susan Beglow.
Y'all all know you're my babies. Anybody ask, you know that. I'm going to fight for you just like as if you were my child. One thing I did put in the program in my original draft that somehow I didn't get crossed over. I have some very special guests here today. I have some World War II veterans. And because we don't have a World War II Veterans Day, and we have a Korean Veterans Day, but we don't. So if my World War II veterans, could you stand for me? If you can, stand up. I know I saw 2 of them coming in. Where are you guys at? They may have went home. I wanted to take a moment to thank them. Last night, now y'all know me, if you've ever heard me speak, you know I don't ever prepare anything. I just say a prayer about it, and I figure God will put it out there. That's the way I look at it. I wanted to tell you, I know you see a little bit change here. We usually have the mayor here, and we usually have Congressman Chuck Fleischman's office here, but right now, in Washington, D.C. at 11 a.m. They are attending, along with the commander of the VFW, he was here last year as well, and several people from the VFW. They are attending a funeral of a Vietnam veteran who was brought home. Now, he is not from McMinn County, but his son is now a resident and has been for a few years here in McMinn County. They are attending the funeral of Colonel Kibbe. He was United States Air Force. His remains were returned, and they are there now. So we are still bringing our boys home, always. Someone handed me a piece of paper. I guess they thought I needed a little bit more help on my speech, which I probably do. Talking about the Vietnam Wall, talking about Colonel Kilby's remains and being returned. A couple of little facts off the Vietnam Wall. There are 58,267 names on that wall. 39,996 were just 22 years or younger. 8,283 were 19. 33,103 were 18. 12 were 17 years old. 5 soldiers were 16. There are 3 sets of fathers and sons on that wall. 31 sets of parents lost 2 of their sons. 997 were killed their very first day there. 1,448 were killed on their last day there. 8 women were on the wall, all nurses. 244 soldiers were awarded the Medal of Honor during the war, and 153 of them are on the wall. Now, that kind of speaks to me. Don't think that what you did, your sacrifices that you made over there, didn't make a difference. It did. I look at you guys and I see courage, I see compassion, I see honor, I see people who are humble. When I say you're a hero, I mean it from my heart. I look at what I did and I'm like, I didn't do nothing. I just delivered babies and helped people when they were sick. I didn't do nothing. You guys did. You called, you went, your nation called. You could have ran away. They actually were given, if I'm not mistaken, all those guys that ran away actually did get a pardon. They got to come home. That's another story, won't go there. But you guys did a lot. Some of you guys came home and they said, well, your service wasn't quite what it should have been. I'm sorry, that's bull. You did your part. Sometimes when you come home, you have a little problem adjusting. We all have problems adjusting sometimes. And they should at least take into account how good and how kind, and that you answered your nation's call. You know you're my babies. You know that if you ever need anything, all you have to do is come say, hey, Susan, I'm like a, what is it, a pit bull with lipstick? Is that what they said? I don't know. I'm pretty sure the VA don't like me, but that's all right. That's okay. I'm good with that. I'm there for you. It is my honor. It is, Dick said that they're glad they hired me. I'm glad they hired me. He forgot to tell you I had a hot flash in the middle of the interview, and I was just like, I don't care. I'm going to tell you like it is. So maybe they didn't like that. Maybe they did. I was blessed to go see the Quilts of Valor on Sunday night. And something that struck me that I take for granted. I pray every day. I just told you guys I prayed before I got up here. And I'm listening to 2 men tell that they prayed every night. They didn't necessarily pray to come home safe, but they prayed every night. They worshiped a mighty God. And they did get to come home. I think we forget sometimes how thankful we are that God gave you to us. So trust me, when I say I pray for you every night, you are truly in my prayers. I may not say Dick Pelley or Jim Boyd, but I do say my Vietnam veterans especially. You guys are my babies. Don't ever forget that. Thank you so much.
We're going to retire the colors after the toast. Okay, so after the toast, we will retire the colors. Okay, we changed that. Yeah. The program says retire the color now. At this time, though, we will have our closing prayer. So ladies, if you'll just wait just a minute until, and again, Mr. Dan Scruggs. Dan.
It gets harder and harder to get up.
Just sit down, too.
Well, that's easy to get down, it's just getting up. Let's go to the Lord in prayer. Let's thank Him for the day. Let's thank Him for the word we've had here, and that ask Him that He'll use it to touch each and every one of us. We've heard a lot. We all need something. We can all heal from it. So let's just look to Almighty God. because he is the one that gives us what we have. Father, we just want to thank you. We just want to praise you. We want to lift your name up on high. And we thank you for the words that's been said. We thank you for even what's going to be happening here in a few minutes. We thank you for the food that we're going to partake of and ask that you bless it and for the nourishment of our bodies. But through all this, Lord, again, I ask you that you will touch each one of us in some way that we need. Because some of us needs healing. Most of us, if not all of us, have PTSD, and we need a healing in that. We need a healing with our families and our friends, and we just ask you to touch in a great and mighty way. But Lord, we ask that we give you the praise and the glory for everything, and that we'll always look to you. And whenever we feel like and we sense that things are not right, that we'll reach out to you, Lord, because you've helped us so much. You've helped me each and every day, Lord, when I've called upon you, and may we call upon you. In the name of Jesus Christ, I pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Dan. At this time, Mr. Marvin Meadows. Marvin, would you come forward? And the ladies are passing out your drinks. While Marvin's coming forward, as Susan was sharing with you, I thought about a little Canadian boy in Calhoun, Tennessee, who came here with his family with bow hunters. He died in Vietnam, one of the first McMinn Countyans, but he enlisted in the United States Army. Okay, and I remember that.
Still morning?
Yeah, still more. No, it's afternoon. That's until we get home. Until we get the drinks handed out.
Okay. I'll wait.
It's not alcoholic, sorry.
What is it? What is it?
This afternoon, yeah, I see it. Okay.
If you don't have a drink, hold your hand out. Does everybody have a drink? Oh, we got a couple up here. We need a couple of drinks up front. Right here.
Marvin, where's your cup?
We still need a couple of cups up front. They're coming.
There's two over there, to your right. There's a couple over there. Don't have it.
Just hold your hands up, folks.
Hold your hand up if you don't have your cup.
Right here, ma'am. Over here too, Michelle. Does everybody have a cup?
There. Back here. You get both.
Just water.
Wonderful.
Is that it?
Give these ladies a round of applause. I know it's hard to do with a cup in your hand. So we can go hip hip hooray! And here is Marvin Meadows.
Hello there, everyone. I see that there is quite a number of individuals here from last year, and look like the numbers are growing year by year on this event that is being held that Susan oversaw. Okay, I'm going to lead everyone in this toast, but I have a short story about my early days here in Athens, Tennessee, roughly 2.5 years. My significant other and I were grocery shopping in one of the grocery stores here in town, and standing in the checkout line, a young man came in the store with his very cute daughter. She was every bit of 2, maybe 3 years of age. He put her in the co-pilot seat of the grocery cart. I didn't know why he asked me, as there were quite a number of shoppers in that store at this time, "Is that brown Silverado yours?" My first thought was, something bad has happened to my Chevy. No. I answered, "Yes, it is." Why? He came back with, "Thank you for your service." Now, on the back window of my pickup truck is a patriotic theme, and that's where the question came from. He asked his daughter to give the gentleman, which was me, a card of theirs. It read on the front, "Thank you for your service and dedication to our country." On the reverse side, "Dear American hero, I am not for all you have done to secure my freedom. Please accept this simple card as a small token of my appreciation. Signed, a grateful American citizen." To say the least, it was a very humbling experience for me. I thank them for their thoughtfulness. I must say, this was a first for me. Since living here in Tennessee, it has happened quite a number of times. I have learned that Tennesseans have heart, love, and support for those of us who have served this wonderful country that we live in. Now for our toast. I toast our veterans, our World War II, our Korean War, my brothers and sisters of the Vietnam era, and the conflicts of late, Afghanistan, Iraq, Desert Storm, and if there's others I forgot or don't know, I apologize. And especially for those who gave, those thousands and thousands and thousands who gave it all. Thank you, thank you, thank you. A toast to us. Tennesseans, you're awesome. You really are. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the retiring of the color. Honor guard, retire the color. And salute.
Lock that door.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have some wonderful food for you. Please partake, and God bless each and every one of you.